I just read an article online which is very defamatory about the real Brent Spiner, and it's claiming that he's a Hollywood hypocrite about gun control based on comments at Brent Spiner's Twitter. I'd like to say that the real Brent Spiner has not been in control of his Twitter for about 2 years now, at least. Twitter has allowed his evil, criminal Jesuit clone to take over his Twitter. I'm not sure what the real Brent's stand is on gun control now, but I know he does not support Hillary Clinton, Lori McBride, or the current Democratic Party, and feels the current Democratic Party run by Lori McBride is fanatical, unbalanced, and unfair to Republicans and those who have a sound mind. And he would definitely not espouse any opinions that support the evil deep state leader Lori McBride. I don't think the real Brent is a huge Donald Trump fan, but he has more respect for Donald than Hillary and most Democrats who are BFF with Brent's worst enemy, Lori McBride. Brent would never be Lori McBride's Cuckosaurus Rex like the Brent Spiner lying clone. That clone is lying because he poses as the real Brent and he's not the real Brent. This clone's impersonation of the real Brent has ruined the real Brent's reputation as an objective listener with an open mind to those who differ from him in politics. Personal opinion, after 2016, I don't think the real Brent would even engage with anyone about gun control at his Twitter because Lori McBride and or Angelina Ballerina have corrupted the Democratic Party since 2016, and Brent would no longer support their heinous policies after 2016. He would be a gentleman and just politely ignore this issue now, especially now that Lori's tried to use it to get the upper hand over her more conservative enemies. Brent is or was a Democrat, but he's always a gentleman and not a hypocrite. He understands and respects the positions of those against gun control, and most especially now, with Lori McBride orchestrating so many crimes and terrorist incidents with guns. Also, I know that if Brent had to, he would not hesitate to use a gun to defend his property or family and feels others should be allowed the same privilege. Once Brent started writing me in 2011, he's had less and less control over his Twitter, with his clone breaking in every now and then. That was until 2014 to 2015, when the Brent clone broke in much more often, with about half the tweets being the clone in 2015. From 2016 to now, it's been the Brent Spiner clone at Twitter, almost 100%. Please understand that Lori McBride seems to be running Twitter now, and she's denied Brent access to his Twitter. In fact, Brent can't even set up another Twitter account in his real persona without being shut down by Twitter as an impersonator. The clone took over Brent's Twitter from 2016 onwards 100%. If the tweet sounds like the opinion of a closed-minded man, it's probably the clone. Brent did comment about guns at his Twitter before the clone took it over. But the difference between Brent and his clone is that Brent would not waste his time debating with a bigot of either party. Nor would he encourage bigots in his own Democratic Party, and there are plenty of them nowadays, and Brent knows it. So if Brent said anything about guns before 2016, he'd offer his opinion, but he wouldn't be dogmatic about it, nor would he try to be argumentative and debate about it. And if it came to that, he'd probably graciously bow out. In other words, gun control to Brent Spiner is not something that he'd want to waste too much time arguing about online, because he's just not that kind of a person. He doesn't waste his time in stupid arguments. Personal opinion. Brent liked Hillary Clinton before 2016, and the Democratic Party was not as evil as it is now from 2016 onwards, due to the fact that Angelina Ballerina and then Lori McBride took over the Democratic Party in September 2016. Zach Knight, good Jesuit leader, used to be evil, had some control over the Democratic Party before September 2016. But Zach has come clean September 2016 to now and no longer supports the Dems because evil Lori McBride, current evil Jesuit leader, runs the Dems. Zach now sides. If I said Jack, I meant Zach. Lori's brain control is horrible. Zach now sides with those of us who believe in love and freedom. Due to the fact that most of those who support gun control 2016 to now are terrorists and support Lori McBride, Brent has changed his position on gun control and probably sides more with those against gun control now. Except he'd feel that those who are clearly terrorists like Lori McBride and her willing and knowing followers should not be allowed guns. This does not negate his previous view that supported Barack Obama's policies. It's just that he realizes that Barack has turned evil along with Hillary, and in our current climate, Brent would feel that a gun control policy should not be as restrictive and unfair as Lori would like. You may say he sounds like a hypocrite because he changed his views on gun control to accommodate himself. No, he just understands that times have changed and that Lori has corrupted the Democratic Party. Brent has preferred lately to stay out of political discussions online because I think he's very ashamed of what the Democratic Party has turned into. Also, he doesn't want to be confused with his clone. That's another problem he's got, especially 2016 onwards. He's always been a believer in freedom of speech and of the press, and therefore ardently opposes some of the Democratic Party's current stands because Lori is their evil leader who eliminates her enemies by taking over big tech and shutting down the freedoms and lives of innocents, something that would horrify the real Brent. Brent's allowed to change his mind because the Democrats have turned evil. He believed in that party when it stood for what he stood for: freedom, liberty, health care, and concern for minorities and equal rights. Now that the party claims one thing and does another, he adamantly opposes the current Democratic Party. And it's unfair to accuse the real Brent of being his evil clone. Brent despises hypocrisy in himself and others, and for this reason does not support the current Democratic Party, which is the most hypocritical party in all of human history. Please show respect to the real Brent Spiner and understand that he is not and could never ever be his evil clone who's a Cuckosaurus Rex to genocidal deep state leader Lori McBride. And I've got a link underneath this video about her being the genocidal deep state leader. And I've also got a link to the articles which I believe the Lori McBride Jesuits are setting up to make it appear like Brent and I are utterly incompatible. Actually, I'm Brent Spiner's real wife. Lori McBride is the person who he never wanted, and she never could have kept him if she didn't threaten to kill me if he didn't give her public girlfriend status. So, you give Lori an inch and she takes a million miles. So he gave her public girlfriend status, and she's managed to get wife status. And he's never, ever wanted her for 1 second when he had his sane mind and he wasn't under her brain control. Brent realizes that to support Lori McBride would mean to support murder, arson, terrorism, rape, lies, greed, and defamation of innocence. Brent would rather die than do that. Please understand, I support Donald Trump. And Brent Spiner is my husband. And Lori McBride is a big liar. And just because she's got control of the mainstream media, don't believe her. Okay, she is evil. The Brent Spiner clone is evil. And Twitter is evil for shutting. Brent actually opened up a Twitter account called Brent Spiner MD. And I believe the Brent Spiner clone was able to get that account shut down. And he was communicating with me. There's shame on you, Twitter. Shame, shame, shame. You let evil Lori McBride and the Dems run you, and you're cutting down the freedom of speech for people like the real Brent Spiner. Now it's getting so bad that the Brent Spiner clone is impersonating Brent at his Twitter and making Brent appear to be an intolerant, bigot Democrat, it's just disgusting what you've done to the real Brent Spiner's reputation. People out, I'm actually a Republican now, though in my heart, I'm an independent. But Brent fell in love with me when I was a Republican and when I wrote a novel which was against gun control. In fact, I'm working on that novel right now. And Brent loved the novel. He even had Steven Spielberg make a movie about it. And Steven Spielberg's a Dem. That showed you how good a writer I am, that I can write a book which basically had a main character who was being sent off to a concentration camp because he opposed those who were enforcing very strict gun control. So don't believe that Brent Spiner at Twitter he's a closed-minded Democrat bigot, the total opposite of Brent Spiner.